Good morning. We are extremely pleased that you are here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree? You are knowing what you are wanting? Pretty much. You are enjoying the evolution of the desire within you. You're enjoying the bleeding edge. Well, it is the leading edge. But sometimes when you are experiencing contrast, you do not feel the exhilaration of the birthing of the desire in the way you thought you would. Sometimes you get stuck in the birthing process. And we're wanting you to remember that while the contrast certainly does give birth to desire, that the desire that is being born is life. Because once that desire is born within you, it has summoning power beyond physical description. And that summoning power, that response to your request, is life. So it seems a little bit like a contradiction to you sometimes that the very process that gives birth to the new desire, which keeps you in the stream of life, is also the process that brings you negative emotion. It would be better, you say, if I could just go forth into an environment where everything is exactly as I want it to be, where I could just focus upon things and feel good when I focus upon them, and then wouldn't life be better for me? And we say, it would be much slower. There would be much less birthing of desire. You would not be asking nearly so much. Therefore, you would not be summoning source energy nearly as much. You would not be on the leading edge. You would be back in that comfort zone where you are just experiencing the results of what others have created, and you would not be fulfilling your reason for coming forth. So you say, well, can't I have it all? Can't I be on the leading edge? Can't I be in the place where contrast is giving birth to the new desire? And can't I feel comfort and joy? Can't I feel good in this process? And we say, indeed you can. And that's what we call the art of allowing. Today, as we are moving forward, we want to talk about some new processes that will help you to practice more specifically the art of allowing. And we want to remind you that the creative process is 3 steps. We already talked about it. Step 1 is ask. You do that all day, every day. Step 2 is answer the request. Source energy does that for you. Step 3 is your dominant work. The work that if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would work to understand and apply. And that is, you have to be a vibrational match to what you're asking for. It's what we call the receiving mode, or being in the state of allowing. And it becomes an art. As we chew with many of you, we hear you describing things as they are. And that's fine if as they are is pleasing you. But describing things as they are, if they do not please you, is just practicing a vibration that doesn't let what you really want be your experience. If we were to ask you the question, of these 2 choices, which do you choose? Truth or untruth? What do you choose? Truth? If we were to ask you, of these 2 choices, which do you choose? Feeling good or feeling bad? Which do you choose? If we were to ask you, which do you choose? Feeling good or truth? Which do you choose? You see, this is a big one, because you have sort of trained yourself to believe that if there is reality involved, that it deserves attention, notice, documentation, statistics, news programs, articles, public attention, scrutiny. And what we are wanting you to realize is it doesn't matter if it's true, if you are giving your attention to it and it doesn't feel good, you are not allowing the well-being that you want. And so that was our long way of saying virtual reality is not about reality. Virtual reality is the place that you practice a vibration until that vibration becomes so dominant within you that that becomes your reality. You see, there is not one piece of reality anywhere that is this static thing that must always be. Everybody's reality has been created by their attention to something that caused them to offer a vibration that law of attraction matched. In other words, when you say, I'm facing reality, ask yourself, and is it a reality that I would choose? And so we would like to amend that statement just for a little while with you. Well, no, we would like to amend it forever with you. But then that's none of our business. It's just a suggestion. I'm facing virtual reality. When someone says to you, you've got to face reality, say, I'm facing virtual reality. I'm going to this place and I'm teaching myself a vibration that allows the well-being that I deserve to flow to me. Now that's a very big point that so many still don't get. There's only a stream of well-being. That's all there is. Which you are allowing or not. And if you are allowing it, you are thriving. If you are not, then you are not thriving quite so much. But there is only a stream of well-being, which you may allow or pinch off, but there is only a stream of well-being. You do not walk into a room and look for the dark switch because there isn't one. There is that switch that resists light, and in the absence of light, you do achieve darkness. Just like in the absence of allowing, you do achieve cancer. In the absence of allowing, you do achieve trauma. In the absence of allowing, you do achieve bondage. In the absence of allowance, you do achieve sickness. In other words, in the absence of allowing the well-being that is natural, you do achieve things that you call a reality. But they are not a reality that exists anywhere other than in the vibrational nature. And you get to choose. So as we chew with Esther about all of this, Esther got all excited one day as she is listening to someone who is experiencing something that she knows that they do not want. And she hears the story of how it got started, and Esther resonates with their disgust a little bit as she recognizes that this person, this young, sweet person, has been indoctrinated with thoughts that have not served her. And Esther said, I can damn well choose what vibrations are dominant within me. And we said, well, we had hoped that it would be a little more positive. But step one is always good. We agree with you. You can choose. But you have to make the decision that you're going to choose. You have to decide. You can let what someone is showing you on television set the tone of your vibration. You can let the residual that someone's offered to you when you were very young, that you've repeated every day of your life, set the tone of your vibration. You can let outside influences set your vibration, or you can let them resonate from within you. In other words, you can listen to your source, which says you are beautiful, you are magnificent, you are pure, you are value, you are worthy, you are worthy, you are worthy, you are worthy, you are blessed beings who are worthy of the well-being that is being flooded to you at all times. Or you can remember the disgust or the outrage or the disconnection of some other who questioned your value enough that you began to question your value to the point that you weren't questioning it anymore. You were downright answering the question that you are not valuable. In other words, you can point your ear anywhere that you choose. But what we are suggesting here is that if you decide that you're going to start practicing thoughts that feel good, all kinds of wonderful things begin to happen, because law of attraction helps you. Law of attraction begins to assist you in holding the thought that feels better, because you only have to hold a thought for a short period of time before that thought begins to attract other thoughts that are like it. And as other thoughts that are like it begin to flood into your experience, then it becomes easier and easier and easier. As Esther is driving at first, she would set the place. She would find some beautiful place. And she would decide what time of year it was. And then she would decide what time of day it was, which would tell her what the temperature felt like and what the sun felt like on her skin. And then she would define what it smelled like, what she was seeing visually. And then she would describe her mood, which usually by then was, oh, I feel exhilarated, I feel fantastic, I feel free. And then she would express some words of appreciation, and then she would get out. And after 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 of these, it was a 400-mile drive that day, so she had plenty of time to do it. After about 5 or 10 of these episodes, she found it easier and easier. She got on this rampage where all kinds of memories of high, good-feeling places began flooding through her mind. It was like those movies you see where they say when you die, your life passes before your eyes. Only what passes before your eyes is always a vibrational equivalent to what you've been dominantly focused upon in the last few minutes. And so what began flashing was just episode after episode after episode of high, good-feeling moments. For example, she thought about the first time that she went to Hawaii. And as she was coming down the ramp on the plane onto the pavement, it was one of those airplanes where you exit outside. And the breezes wafted across her, and she got her first lungful of that air that she had never smelled before, and how tears welled up within her. She could hardly believe the experience that she was having. The combination of the fragrance and the temperature and the humidity and the anticipation of that which was to come. That moment was the best of life experiences. And as she captured it again, driving across the desert in the monster bus, she relived the moment. Now, she got in, got out. She did not drag her bags through the agricultural inspection. She didn't stand in any lines. In other words, in her virtual reality, she went right to the peak experience, milked it for all it was worth, and left in that high good feeling place, which left her now available to the library of good feeling experiences in the sky, to another memory and another memory and another memory. And what we are getting at here is, as you begin to practice these good feeling moments, they become the basis of your experience. So while you may, because there are layers of vibrations within you, stumble upon something not yet tended to that causes your hand to smart a little as you put it on the stove. You want those sensors to be there, don't you? In other words, much better than laying your hand there until your fingers are gone. When you touch up against that hot stove and you recognize what it is, and you back away from the thought, if you've been practicing some virtual realities, you have some other active, good-feeling thoughts that you can now turn to. And that's the whole point of the virtual reality. Play it for a little while and you'll be amazed at what begins to happen to you. 2 major things. First, good-feeling thoughts will become more accessible to you. And second, the not good-feeling thoughts will be major. You will not miss them. Now you may think, oh, I don't know if I want that. I was pretty happy before I knew anything, because ignorance is pretty much bliss. And I might be destroying my life experience, but it's better if I don't know it until it manifests. And we say, as deliberate creators, you want to know when you're pinching off your well-being, don't you? Don't you want to know when you are disallowing the well-being that you want and deserve? And isn't negative emotion a wonderful thing because it lets you know that? So, we are eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you.